Hi, I'm here to present my writing autobiography. I chose to do a me quote, as discussed in the Tompkins text. I chose this one because I think it would be appropriate for a lot of different grade levels. I designed this one specifically with my 4th grade class in mind on the front, but I also included some typed out paragraphs that would be more appropriate for either presenting it orally for the younger groups or for older students to type it out in paragraph format like this. I think there's a lot of really cool ways that you could implement this in classrooms. I think if I was going to do this in the fall, I would have us each fill out a couple of these individual squares with the headings about ourselves as writers personally, and then we could talk about them as a group, but then mix up all of the different colors and different questions in a big patchwork quilt as a class, so we realize that we're kind of all working towards these goals together. And we could hang it up in the classroom and keep it there all year. Another element that I added to the me quote was this pocket in the middle that says writing I'm proud of, and it can hold some different copies of writing pieces that we do throughout the year that we're really proud of. I stuck in a few of mine from throughout the years from kindergarten and high school and college, so I'm just going to take them out so we can see the rest of the quilt. But I think that would be a cool piece for the students to add to throughout the whole year. So I was very honest with a lot of these, and I think that was an important part of creating this assignment, is to be honest about your strengths and weaknesses in writing, and I think it's important to convey that to the kids as well, and to, show them, or hopefully that they can relate to a lot of the strengths and weaknesses that we have as writers as well. So for this square I did, I am a writer who likes. I am a writer who likes using research to write informative pieces. Even when I was a young writer in elementary school, I chose to do book projects about animal facts or biographies of people who I admired. As a psychology major in college, I enjoyed creating data, collecting data either from my own research or from a variety of sources, and using them in a paper to support my ideas. I think that I have had many more opportunities to write nonfiction texts than creative pieces, therefore I'm much more comfortable working with the process and structure of a research paper than, say, a piece of creative writing. So that's what I like as a writer. I'm a writer who does not like revising and editing. I think it's one of the most challenging aspects of the writing process for anyone. Rereading a piece of my own writing several times is exhausting, and I can sometimes be discouraged with the flow or number of edits I have to make. I have found some techniques for editing and revising that help me to overcome these frustrations, such as editing or revising shorter parts of my texts after I finish a sentence or a paragraph. Looking at the entire paragraph at once can be daunting. Then over here, this yellow square. As a student, my writing has changed a lot over time. This often depended on what my teachers were looking for. I had some teachers that wanted our paragraphs and papers to always be structured a certain way, and I had other teachers who really encouraged more of a creative approach to writing. I was eager to get good grades on my writing, so I adapted my style to what the teachers wanted, and I was more concerned with a lot of the rubrics than I was with my own style. Down here I put, personally, writing does not come easy for me. I've always been envious of people who can just sit down and write. I find that I have to spend extra time planning, creating outlines with a lot of details. I also have to find similar texts that I can use as models to help with details for structures or citations. In college, I found it especially helpful to work with others in the peer editing process. I wish I spent more time writing for myself, though, than just to fill those assignments. I think this would be beneficial for myself as my writing skills would develop, but also it would be beneficial for my students, for me to have some personal pieces of writing so I could share how writing can help you in a lot of different scenarios and serve so many purposes. Over here, as a writing teacher, I want to ensure I provide my students with the proper tools and strategies to achieve their personal writing goals. First, I want to help my students develop a unique voice in their writing. As I mentioned, I was always changing my style of writing and voice to adapt to the teacher. as a teacher, I want to instead tailor my teaching to help students develop their unique voices that they already have. It is also important that I help students feel comfortable and gain the tools to help them writing multiple genres. I don't want my students to feel that they should only be writing like nonfiction paragraphs, which is a really heavy content area for us in 4th grade. I want to encourage them to write poems, creative short stories, letters, and journal about their personal experiences. All of this will contribute to helping students develop their own style and voice. Finally, it is important to me that students do not see writing as a chore. I want them to find some part of writing that they're really inspired by, and hope that they continue with that throughout their lives. Over here I wrote, as a writer, someday I would like to develop a unique voice that will help me with my creative writing. I want to be more comfortable writing stories or poems with my students, and understanding my writing voice is unique and contributes to my stories. I think this would be great for myself personally and for my students, again, as I would be able to better help them with their creative pieces. Then finally, as a writer, I would like to know more about sentence fluency. Sentence fluency is the within sentence rhythm that helps connect the sentences and make them sound smooth. I think this is one piece of writing that I could really perfect. Often when I reread sentences that I've written, I know they don't sound fluent, but I'm not sure how to change them. This is one aspect I would also like to be better at, to help explain students how to make revisions to their sentences to make them sound fluent and why we need to make those changes. And then finally, I added this box over here just to make it an even square, but I said texts that have influenced my writing are Grit by Angela Duckworth, Mindset by Carol Dweck. I use those two texts as kind of mentor texts and also as research tools for a big research project that I did my senior year of college on motivation in school. So those two have really driven not only my writing for that assignment, but also my teaching. And then also David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell, another just informational text that stresses, research and is really just driven by that. So, but I also included texts that I'm inspired by, because those are all nonfiction, research-based texts, and as I've mentioned, I want to be a better creative writer, and so texts that inspire me are The Tiger Rising, Love That Dog, and Because of Winn-Dixie. I picked 3 books that we read in 4th grade and that are at an appropriate level, and throughout the year could make some connections between how these pieces of these books that we read can influence our own writing. So that's my project. I'll put my pieces of writing back in here, but I had a kindergarten book that I wrote based on Goodnight Moon, and I just named different things that I was saying goodnight to. So Goodnight Colors, Goodnight Annie, my dog, Goodnight Everything, and I think Goodnight Lizard. So I put that in there. Cool, like using mentor texts even as young as kindergarten. And then I put 2 title pages to texts that I wrote in college, including The Effects of Grit and Self-Theories on Academic Success, which was a research paper that I did in my senior year psychology seminar, and then also a paper that I wrote for an English class, which was way out of my comfort zone in college, but ended up being a paper that I worked really hard on, and I ended up being really proud of it. So those go in my masterpiece pocket in the middle. So that's my project. Thanks for watching.